and its population controlled, and for them to be economically well off so that the Nepalese will stay in Nepal. And they would not put pressure on their populations to move to Bhutan. So these are, I'm being very, very frank, these are basic threats. It's also very, very important that we have peace in our region. These are all things which lead to not only other happinesses, but also to our happiness. Our happiness is in threat if our neighbors are in threat and if there's turmoil. So I think I've said enough about that. Now, we in Bhutan are not, well, we in Bhutan have plans to be just like everybody else. We need money, and people are getting wealthy. And Bhutanese people are trying like nobody's business to catch up with the rest of the world in their carbon emissions. Cars, I see cars growing the car. So, our goals and happiness is not just to Bhutan alone. We have weaknesses also, just like anybody else in the rest of the world. Telling people, because we're supposed to be a very happy country, doesn't make us very special. We're also just as bad. So with that, I'll end and answer questions. Thank you.
That should have generated some interesting questions. Anna?
Thank you. As Darren keeps on saying, what is measured, how is that again? Is managed. This measure is managed. I know that the gross national happiness. There has been attempts to really measure it and actually come up with some indicators. How far have you gone? I know other countries have tried also, like Finland, for instance, or sorry, should I say France, is doing something about it. What is the progress in this area?
I've been a great critic for people in my country who've been trying to measure happiness. I do not approve of it. If you need money, so if you're running short of money and then you try and tell everybody, let's be happy, we have no money, that's something else. But let me read you a nice little quote from a girl about a young Bhutanese student's idea of happiness. Now, let me just read that to you. There are many other things. But like every child, I have a dream to look after my parents and to keep them happy after I get a job. I would be happy if I get a decent salary so that I can help my parents and fulfill my obligations as a child. That would be GNH for me. Let me also acknowledge an immediate issue for me as a student. I believe that apart from studies, we need to play, and if we don't have playgrounds, if we have playgrounds, all that would be. But very importantly, I've noticed that many of my school friends whose fathers ride scooters don't want them to be either dropped or picked up at the school. They are embarrassed about it because other students own luxurious Land Cruisers or at least a decent four-wheel car. I would be happy if these students, friends of mine, would learn to appreciate what their parents have and accept it. I mean, so I just wanted to share that. But happiness really is very, very difficult to measure. And what is the other thing is the individual happiness. Like, it's been a very long day. I was up at 5:30, and so many of you have been so. Wouldn't we all be so happy if we could go and enjoy a nice dinner? Yeah, and on the riverside. I mean, that's one form of happiness. But when you talk about measuring happiness and other things, that's very, very difficult. Even as a national basis, gross national happiness, when we talk about it, when we first the focus, I think the focuses of what creates conditions for happiness could be there. Whether you're happy with it or not happy with it, that's up to different people. But how to look at happiness, I don't want to go into any debate about that. It's so difficult. Yeah.
Thank you for your speech. I have two questions. One goes back to the climate change issue. I learned from Professor Ramanathan, the Indian who is now in the Scripps Institute in San Diego, that there are regions in the world that could immediately kind of hedge action against climate change. He's referring to the black carbon, to dust, and to soot particles that could be taken out within a couple of years and would improve air quality, of course, and the life of the people, and be a serious mitigation action. And Ramanathan refers explicitly to India and to greater parts of Asia. My question is that true, the black carbon hypothesis for Bhutan as well? And could you then, if it is true, be doing something without having to wait for the industrialized world to come up with some bright Copenhagen ideas or Cancun ideas? That is the first question. And the second is, is again about the happiness. If I had a king who would, in that way, propose a gross happiness thing for the country, I would ask myself, what kind of king do I have? Is he unhappy?
Okay, let me answer the first question. I was recently at an ISIMOD meeting in Kathmandu, as a matter of fact, just about 10 days ago, and they were talking about black carbon there. And it's a phenomena which we have not studied in Bhutan, nor have we felt affected by it. There's a gentleman from America called Thomas Painter, and he was asking me whether he could come to Bhutan and study it. Wonderful. I said, I can't take the political decision because I'm no longer in the political decision-making process politically. But I would introduce him to all the correct people, and they could take it from there. Definitely, the whole entire Himalayas are suffering from a lack of snowfall, disappearing water sources in Bhutan, rapidly decreasing of the flow of water during the lean season, that's during the winter months. Drastic. Visually, you can see. You don't have to go around and measure how much it is. You can see it with your own eyes. And then it's measured in terms of something which is supposed to bring us a lot of happiness, is money from electricity, sale of power to India. That money is not coming to us anymore like we thought it would. And money is very important for happiness, isn't it? But it's not happening. So I've seen Mount Kinchinjunga all my life. I went to school, and from my school we'd see it, and it was always covered in snow, white snow. About five years ago, I suddenly started seeing patches of black and increasing. I still carry a picture of it in my camera for anybody who wants to have a look, and I can explain those blacks and what's happening. Even in Bhutan, I've seen our mountain peaks. Some of the suddenly total lack of snow and huge black rocks coming out. Could it be from black carbon? Well, only science can tell us. Guys like us, we don't know. When it comes to gross national happiness and is that king happy, not happy, one thing for sure, he's a very special chap, and I've been talking for years. The first thing he told me as a young man, he says, I do not believe in the rule of one man. And he has projected his entire career to leading to Bhutan to where it is, a democracy, a constitutional monarchy and a parliamentary democracy. He worked very hard towards that state. And when I started talking about this to people about 5 years ago and onwards, that my king, and they were all saying, ha ha, that's very nice. We'll see when it happens. Mahendra is not here, but we were in Ashgabat, and the president of Ashgabat was saying that he would retire when he was 70 years old.